People in the 1917s, 1920 time period were all picking Wednesday night at 6:30 to be married.
Or perhaps they were inspired by an old wedding rhyme, sort of a wedding rap of its time.
Mondays for wealth, Tuesdays for health, Wednesdays, best day of all, Thursdays for losses, Fridays for crosses, and Saturday, no luck at all.
No matter what the day, putting together a wedding never meant using a computer. Until now. According to a recent study, 48% of engaged couples with computer access use the internet to plan at least part of their wedding. Carly Roney is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of one of the most popular wedding sites, The Knot.
The internet is really not just about gathering lots of information related to your wedding, it's also changing weddings because it's a communication device. Now, the best example of that is a bridesmaid dress. A bride goes online, finds a bridesmaid dress, pushes a button, sends it out to all of her bridesmaids. They go, ew, my God, I'm not gonna wear that. They click the button at the bottom of that picture, go back to the place where that bridesmaid dress was found, find one they like, send it back to the bride and say, this is the one we want.
Some couples even create websites so friends can check in on their wedding plans.
One of the other great things about the internet is grooms actually feel comfortable logging on, getting wedding planning advice. I mean, they wouldn't have done that before. They wouldn't be going out and buying a bridal magazine. They wouldn't be caught dead doing that.
My husband will be tall and strong and slim.
There's a certain universality to
Continue on A&E.
All right, boys.
A&E.
Campbell and his bride went on to honeymoon at Niagara Falls.
In 1950s America, the word honeymoon often meant Niagara Falls. Today, it means something very different.
So probably some nice space like Hawaii.
Ireland? Probably.
Somewhere peaceful, probably. Where we're not being interrupted by anyone or anything.
A place that I've always wanted to go is Las Ventanas, off of Cabo and the Greek islands. We're going to Disney World! Disney World!
There are those who search for the sea and the sand and the sun and total relaxation. Then there are the others who are going for adventure honeymoons, and they want to go off where they can go snow skiing or kayaking or mountain climbing. People looking for the lure of the exotic, going to Africa, going to Indonesia, going to the South Pacific.
Exotic locales, sun and relaxation, adventure. What is all this? Time was honeymoons were about one thing and one thing only.
When we got to our room, there were twin beds. And Jerry was appalled. And he said, don't they know we're on a honeymoon?
Today, with couples often living together before marriage, the pressure is a bit diminished, but only a bit.
You're not going to want it. You're going to say, let's just do it in the morning. But you got to do it that night because it's one of those things that it's not going to be the greatest consummation of your life, but it's important you do it that night because everyone's going to ask you, and it's always going to be uncomfortable if you didn't. So there's a little piece of advice for you.
The term honeymoon is believed to have gotten its name from the days when a man kidnapped his wife, then hid out with her for one cycle of the moon, that being thought enough time for her family's anger to have subsided. Meanwhile, the bride and groom, while in hiding, drank mead, a fermented honey concoction from the early Anglo-Saxon days. So, hiding and drinking sweet alcohol and having sex for the life of one moon, a honeymoon. Going away for a honeymoon trip did not actually catch on until the nation was industrialized. People were no longer tied to the farm, and mass transportation helped get them around. But traveling brides and grooms were expected to dress in old clothes and shoes so that people wouldn't guess they were newlyweds and wouldn't suspect what was going on behind closed doors. The invention of the automobile gave newlyweds even more freedom and range. You could drive to the Grand Canyon or Florida's beaches. And when Americans began to fly, the honeymoon truly took wing.
Suddenly, instead of driving to your honeymoon, you could fly off someplace, and that opened the whole world.
Nassau, Queen of the Bahamas. Nobody's in a hurry in this vacation paradise.
But long-distance trips were expensive, and for some, essentially impossible for other reasons. Because most American hotels wouldn't take Black Americans, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta, his bride, spent their first night together at the home of an undertaker in Marion, Georgia.
This is for luck.
When a bride and groom arrived at their new home, it was, and is, considered good luck for the groom to carry his bride into the room.
The groom would whisk his bride over the threshold. He would carry her over the threshold because evil spirits lurked around doorways, and he would protect her from those doorways.
The honeymoon, an old custom that still marks the end of the past and the beginning of the future. They say that memories are made of this, and they are right. The moments of a wedding, hand-painted into the mind, stay there. They last. They take us back to that day and say to us, wherever we are today, we remember that once we were there. These are the moments that define the experience and make it yours.
Actually, I worked that day. I helped to decorate the church. The Monsignor dragged me into he said, get back into my office, because I was like decorating 15 minutes before the ceremony. But it was like a florist's wedding. It looked beautiful.
My husband was in the Marine Corps at the time, and he wore this incredibly dashing uniform. And when we left the church, we had Marines in dress blues with the sword arch.
I was married a long time ago. It will be 52 years. And we were two college kids who had very little money. And I didn't even have a wedding cake.
I wore my mother's dress because I couldn't be bothered to shop for a dress. Just thought that was way too time-consuming, and it did fit me right. And I just kind of threw on her veil, and I didn't plan anything. The one personal touch that we did, too, is we got married at the bar where we had our first date and talked until like 2 in the morning. So, and the bartender who'd been there on our first date was there. So that was wonderful, but everything else was pretty much a disaster.
So we went to McDonald's. Drive-through.
We went to McDonald's drive-through after our wedding.
And we drive through the drive-through, and it was this great moment as we pull up, and the girl opens the little doors. They hand us our food, and she's like,
"Did you just get married?"
She's like, look at us, like, did you just get married?
So we had them take a photo of us.
Right.
It happens so fast, you really don't know what's going on. The next thing you know, you're saying goodbye to people. So I think that's certainly a good sign that we had a good time.
It's magical. As nervous as I was, it's a nice feeling to know that you're married.
I was very excited about getting married and having a wedding, but what I was most excited about was getting married to Randy.
You know, our vows were in sickness and health. Now, I've had a lot of sickness, and he's always been there.
No matter what life throws at you, you know that person is going to be there, and you're going to be there for them. And that's the glue, you know, and you can trust it.
That's very well said. Surprise.
The American wedding represents a shared ideal that each one of us makes deeply personal. America was born in other countries, other times, other traditions, but we evolve, we include. Tomorrow, the American wedding will be the same and different. We are inventing its traditions today. And why shouldn't we? That's what makes it American. For A&E, I'm Joan London. Thanks for watching.